Walter, I've got an item for you. Senator Taft is a horse's aft. Sit down, my boy. Sit down.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I heard that Capone story of yours last Sunday. Scared the heck out of Eleanor. Took all night to convince her that Al's new address wasn't Pennsylvania Avenue.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, don't be silly. Enjoyed the drama. That's a reporter's job, isn't it?
Well, Mr. President, I've been called a lot of things, but a reporter's not one of them.
Yes, they say you dish the dirt, gab the gossip. You know, before you came here today, I looked up that word gossip. Oh, I imagine you know what it actually means, but I didn't. It comes from an old word, god sib, the sibling of a god, the kinsman to a divine thing. Walter, I think democracy is a divine thing.
Yes, sir.
The world's becoming a dangerous place, I'm afraid. A ticking bomb whose fuse has been long lit, and where it'll explode, I don't know. But you're the one reporter I've read who answers to no one. America needs a son like you on its side, who answers to no one. The face of fear is coming. I don't yet know its eyes, and I don't yet know its name. But you'll look for it, Walter, won't you? And when you see that face, when you find it, you will answer to no one, not even me. You'll dish the dirt and gab the gossip, and you'll be a sibling to a god.
Yes, Mr. President. Yes, sir. Hitler's a thug. I grew up on the streets. I know a gangster when I see one. I'm gonna write a column about him.
Oh, I'd love to read it.
So would I. What are you waiting for? Get cracking.
Walter,
Okay.
The European nations had better get down to brass tacks before they end up in iron chains. These soon-to-be captive countries must agree Hitler is their common enemy before they all face general attack. To treat this madman as a political figure is like the Portuguese thinking Napoleon was political because they were too busy looking at Josephine's figure.
You're right, it's a little outside his realm.
Yesterday, he wrote that FDR's smile deserved a Nobel Prize.
Yes, well, perhaps that second page slot is going to his head.
Perhaps, sir. I was more concerned about your business interests in Germany. The press services, the factories, the fiber mills and such.
What do you want?
It's not what I want. It's what Mr. Hurst wants.
Daddy. I didn't know you were in the building.
How are you?
I'm fine, finishing up my column.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about, what you've been writing about Germany and now Lindbergh, America's favorite son.
Yes, who just joined Hitler on an inspection of the Luftwaffe.
As an aviator and now an emissary. Walter, sit down. Writing that his halo is slipping around his neck and becoming a noose.
Yeah, well, that was going to happen to him and all of us if Hitler
Walter,
continued.
you go ahead. Go ahead and you dig us some dirt on a chorus girl. Find out who's diddling who. And, I mean, print it for the rabble that makes both of us a lot of money. But you get your eye away from Europe. Get it back into the Broadway keyhole.
Yes, and toward that end, I've gathered the perfect item for your column. A young Ohio lady whose specialty is making a muscle in her chest wiggle. She learned it from her mother, and I think it's right up your alley.
Mr. Hurst, look, listen. Hitler's a man.
Man with a vision for his nation. A man who is turning Germany into a productive and profitable concern. Walter, I agree that his views on Jews are a little extreme.
Well, I think that's an understatement.
But those are just scribblings in his book. I know. They're just words, Walter. Words cannot hurt anyone. So you stay away from politics. You stick to gossip.
No.
Excuse me, Walter, what did you say to me?
No. I'm going to write about Hitler. And I'm not going to stop writing about Hitler. until there's nothing left to write about Hitler, because the last thing that I just wrote about Hitler is that Hitler's dead. And if you don't like it, you can release me from my contract, and I'll take my top column to the News, Graphic, or any other nickel print press with butcher's paper and block type. But I don't think your accountants would consider that decision very productive or profitable. I want to take Hitler to a higher court, not a higher cotillion. Who the fuck? Did you write this, Herman?
No, Diamond and I wrote it. Glurfield was sick. It's the best we can do.
Well, your best is half as good as shit. Do you want to say something to me, Hank? Do you want to insult me? Huh? Go ahead and insult me. But you best make sure the insult is clever. Clever enough to use in my column, or you're fired. Come on, I'm waiting. I can always use a goodie. I want a Hitler column that's going to make the Fuhrer fume. Is that understood? And you have until morning. A crazed ego whose it is found in the idiot manner in which he stomps his feet until all around him fall into line.
A man-child who wraps his mouth around a microphone like a thumb.
Just take out the Hitler comment.
Why not pull him all together?
Because he sells papers.
Page 10.
A self-appointed dictator who demands his followers adore him and then stands back on his platform waiting to be convinced.
Take out all the political items.
He cut the column in half!
A self-effacing fascist who exacts loyalty from his subordinates during the day and then takes out the long knives at night. Pull him.
I'm out of the mirror. I'm out of the mirror. And all my shit turnies say that I can't go to another paper because he owns my name. My name! Hearst can kill my column. Go ahead. I don't care. I don't need his paper. I'm gonna blow this whole thing wide open on the radio.
Could you give us a smile, Mr. Winchell?
No, not right now. Not right now. Maybe later. Maybe later. So what do you think?
What do I think? I think you're completely mad.
What did you say?
You heard me, Walter. And I'll say it again if you didn't.
Little Herman Klurfeld from the Bronx is growing up. He's a big boy now.
I'm big enough to know you don't broadcast political speeches on radio, Walter. Hell, they barely let FDR do his fireside chat, and the president doesn't even have a sponsor.
To hell with the sponsor and the network. At least I'll get one broadcast out.
Right, and then they'll pull you just like Hearst did, and you'll be out of a job.
I'll never be out of a job.
No. And more importantly, I'll be out of a job, Walter.
All right, come on.
Don't, Walter. Please, Walter. I know that Hitler's a madman. He's a fascist firebug who thinks that every night is Halloween. But he's got a horde of followers who are trick-or-treating with him.
Yeah?
He's Hitler. You're only Walter Winchell.
No, you're wrong. I'm Walter Winchell. He's only Hitler.
Walter, I have a family. Walter, I have a wife. And a child. Walter, you've received death threats.
Oh, so what? I've been getting those for years.
From irate cuckolds and bad-tempered producers, not the underground German Legion, not the Friends of the Rhineland.
Herman, something has to be done about Hitler.
What are we going to say about Hitler that hasn't already been written
I've
up?
talked to 100 doormen and cabbies in this town whose cousins and mothers and grandfathers have been taken away from their beds, their shops, their businesses, and carried off into the night. It's gone. It's true. And you won't read about it under one of Hearst's banners. And you won't read about it in an article about Lindbergh's latest luncheon in Birch's Garden. And you won't see it in a newsreel of Chamberlain signing the Munich Pact because the cameras are all too busy filming the rows of gorgeous soldiers and not their boots goose-stepping over the broken glass of Jewish shop windows. The Jews are being murdered. They're being murdered, Herman, now. And there is no clever way that I can find to say that. Can you find a clever way to say it?
No.
Because if you can, I'll broadcast it.
I think you said it extremely well, Walter. I can't miss this broadcast, sweetheart. I can't.
If you just leave it alone, everything's gonna be okay. For Christ's sake. I'll get the candles.
Yeah.
Herman! Herman! Come here. Can you hear that?
What, for God's sake?
Shh, listen. It's Winchell.
And the rest of you will be slain. Germany's last stand will not be on the battlefield. It'll be a cringing plea for mercy. And so I remain your correspondent, Walter Winchell, who believes that any American who worries about being too hard on the Nazis should at first visit this torn land firsthand. And that anyone who thinks twice about taking Hitler to task should think once about the thousands he's already mutilated and murdered. We should all be thankful that in civilization's darkest hour, our country is the land that stands for freedom, tolerance, and the dignity of man. I've talked to 100 tormenting cabbies in this town whose cousins, mothers, and grandmothers back in Germany are being dragged out of their beds, their businesses, and their shops, and carried off into the night. You won't see it in the newsreel of Chamberlain signing the Munich Pact, because the cameras are all too busy filming the shoulder-to-shoulder rows of gorgeous soldiers, and not their boots goose-stepping over the broken glass of Jewish shop windows. You won't see it imprinted on Hitler's express ticket to Rome, where not only did the train pull in on time on track 29, but Mussolini was there to give him a shine. Our country, which governs from the bottom up, must take to task the tyranny that destroys from the top down. This dictator will one day discover the memory of a people oppressed is always longer than the road to glory, and the voice of freedom will be ringing even after the curses of the barbarians are forgotten. Good night.
And now, back to the big band sounds of Tommy Dorsey.
Mr. Winchell, are you a socialist?
A socialist?
I mean, a communist. Hitler hates communists and you hate Hitler?
And Hitler hates me. But I'm the only one of the three that loves America. And don't you forget it.
Good morning, Mr. Winchell.
Hey, good morning. Hitler hates me. He really hates me.
Yeah. Stalin's still not returning any of my phone calls, and I'm all in a tizzy.
This is Radio Berlin, broadcasting across the channel to England and the Isles. As was printed in America's own New York Mirror, Hitler declares Walter Winchell the new enemy to a new Germany. Our noble friends in the United States must fight this man.
Hey, wait.
I have a little gift for you here, Mr. Winchell.